Thank you, Mark. The Paul Manafort tax evasion and bank fraud trial continues today with a big push by prosecutors to follow the money from Ukraine to bank accounts in Cyprus to the vendors who sold Manafort luxury items.
Joining us now, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Ambrosio Rodriguez. Welcome back, sir.
Good morning.
How are you?
So apparently this morning the judge in the case apologized to the jurors. Apparently yesterday he reprimanded the prosecutors about some witness who was in there. It turns out that the prosecutors had permission to have the witness. What's going on with this judge?
Sure. So in fact, there was a story today in the New York Times about the judge. So there's a rule that witnesses cannot be in the courtroom when other witnesses are testifying. That way their testimony isn't affected. You can get special permission for exclusion. The judge has had a testy relationship with the prosecution. Look, this isn't uncommon for us. Federal judges have a reputation for being imperial, for a lack of a better word, and in fact this judge called the courtroom his own Rome and he's Caesar. So the fact that federal judges are tough and kind of run a courtroom the way they want to is not uncommon. I mean, this judge is known for being brilliant. I mean, he went to Princeton, Harvard, and Oxford. But he has really taken the prosecution to task. I wouldn't be surprised if when the defense puts on their case, he does the same.
Yesterday, the defense cross-examination of Rick Gates really focused on him as a liar and a cheater. How do you think that tactic will play with the jurors, knowing that he's cooperating with the Mueller investigation?
It's the only tactic they have. So in any situation when you're defending someone who's, business partner, kind of turned and testifies against them, you have to attack him and cross-examine him. I'm kind of surprised that they finished their cross-examination. I mean, really, they had days' worth of cross-examination because you want to let the jury know, or try to let the jury know, that the government made a deal with the wrong guy. If you can show the jury that the witness, their star witness, lied to the government and wasn't truthful, or that the government went easy on them in their questioning, then the jury's going to turn on the government's case. That's really what they're going for. And I think what's really important is people should understand the Manafort case, the defense team, given the amount of evidence that they have, I don't think they're trying to go for 12 jurors for a full acquittal. They just need one juror to hang the case, and they can start all over again. Look, Paul Manafort is 69 years old. The longer he keeps this going, the better it is for him.
Well, let's talk about that. The prosecution expected to wrap up soon. How's it looking?
It looks really bad for Manafort. I mean, the defending, it is easier for me or any defense attorney to defend a murder case than a paper case. A paper case is just, did you fill out the forms? Is that your signature? Did you check the box? I mean, he had the accountants come in. Right. The questions as to having financial interests abroad, money in foreign bank accounts, it's very easy. You either said yes or you said no. The accountants and bookkeeper said he told us he didn't have it. So the money trail is very easy. So it's a very difficult thing to defend.
How strong is the possibility that Paul Manafort take the witness stand?
Look, I think it's a very high possibility, simply because of his personality. You got to think about who the client is, who the defendant is. He has made a life out of talking, right? He was, since the 80s, he has been a lobbyist, and he's been a lobbyist for some very nasty international thugs who he was able to talk people in Washington into accepting them and giving them foreign aid and lobbying for them. So in his mind, look, it's kind of like representing a con man. A con man is never going to plea. A con man always thinks that if he just has a chance to talk to the DA, to the judge, the jury, he can talk him into it. And that's who you're dealing with. A lot of times a trial isn't about the facts. When you're representing someone, it's about the psychology of your client and what they want to happen.
The only reason we're really paying attention to the trial, though, is because he was President Trump's campaign chairman.
Correct.
And I just wonder, you've been following the case closely, has any of that come up? Has there been any backdrop of politics in the trial itself?
No. They're only in that the money that originally, the $60 million he received by, representing Yukhanovich, who was the president of Russia, who was backed by Putin and his people. So, but nothing after the election has really come up. And I mean, look, this whole thing is because, let's keep in mind, now that we know a lot more about the Trump Tower meeting, Manafort was in that meeting with Donald Jr. and with the Russians, right? That supposedly was about adoption, but now we find out it was, even the president admitted, getting dirt on Hillary Clinton. So that's really, I think, what the question is if he gets convicted, whether or not he is going to turn on Trump or Trump is going to pardon him in order to maintain his silence about what was said at the Trump Tower meeting. That's going to be high noon.
Yeah. Once again, Ambrosio Rodriguez, a criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor. You can check out his website and follow him on Twitter. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much.